And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and I know it's been a while since I've last done a video, and I know a lot of things, especially with Major League Rugby, have been going down, but a little bit behind the scenes here. I've been kind of putting that a little bit on the back burner. I know we do have the draft coming up, which I'll get to later on in this video. But I'm putting a lot of stuff on the Major League Rugby on the back burner right now just because there's a lot of other things that are going on, especially in the next coming weekends of the year with rugby in particular. So much going on, so you're going to be getting a lot of videos from me, starting off with this one, which I'm super excited about for a couple of extra reasons, again, which I'll get into. But again, there's a lot of great rugby coming up, not only with RugbyTown 7s, but also too, we have the Women's Rugby World Cup kicking off in England, and then of course we do have the big Pacific Nations Series, the Pacific Nations Cup, which will determine Rugby World Cup 2027 for us, for our men's team, qualification. So a lot going down just this weekend alone as we're near the tail end of the summer of rugby, getting into the fall of rugby. And again, we're kicking off with this video in particular, RugbyTown 7s. I've done a few videos previewing RugbyTown 7s because it is, if you're a fan of Rugby 7s, it is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sevens tournaments in this country, in the United States. It is huge. It will kick off. It's a 3-day weekend event, August 22nd through the 24th at the world famous Infinity Park in Denver, Colorado. The very first rugby utilized stadium or pitch that was specifically made here in the United States, formerly the home of USA Rugby, holds about 5,000 people, but it is an immaculate, beautiful stadium. If you've ever watched RugbyTown 7, it really shows off just how cool and really well designed Infinity Park is. 3 days of solid Rugby 7s action. If you don't know about RugbyTown 7s, so RugbyTown 7s, this is the 13th year that it's been around. They did take 1 year off because of COVID, but starting in 2012, it was first used to honor the military units that do rugby. So all the branches of the USA military have rugby teams in their academies. It's the Army, Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, and the Air Force. They all have rugby teams active, and they had all their Rugby 7s teams from each unit participate in the very first RugbyTown 7s, and then it started expanding from there by inviting teams from not only the United States but all over the world to compete in this one weekend event. It's been going on, like I said, this is the 13th year. Super exciting. If you're a fan of sevens, again, this is a really amazing event because it still showcases a lot of amazing rugby talent from not just in the United States, not just in the military units, but from around the world. You'll see a lot of familiar names. If you're familiar with the HSBC Sevens competition, you'll see a lot of those names competing in this tournament. Especially a lot of former Eagles and current Eagles have competed, and a lot of MLR faces are in this tournament. Like I said, it's a huge tournament. I'm a huge fan of it. Been watching it for at least the last 4 or so years, and you can watch every game live or later on demand. I don't believe they have anything past maybe last year's tournament still on the website just because of bandwidth and everything. But if you go to rugbytownusa.com, you can watch every match live coming up for this tournament, or later on demand, or I believe you can still watch last year's exciting tournament as well. The way the format works, if you are familiar with RugbyTown 7s, there is a slight change to this format. Originally, there used to be 4 pools. One of the pools was specifically just the military teams. So like I said, 5 teams in each pool, 5 military teams. So the Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Coast Guard, and the Air Force would compete specifically in that one pool. Then later on, what would happen is they would have their own armed forces championships. So the top 2 teams in that pool face off against each other. The winner becomes the Armed Forces champion. Now, the other 3 pools were composed of other teams, and it's all pool play. So the military teams would play in their own pool, the 3 teams would play in their own pools, the top 2 teams of each pool, including the military pool as well. So the military team actually had to play a lot more games, which is why the format was changed. The top 2 teams of each pool would then go into a knockout round, 8-man elimination tournament, while the 3rd and 4th place teams of each pool would go into a consolation tournament, and you'll have knockout rugby, and then a winner is crowned. That was the old format. In the new format now, there's 4 pools. There's actually 5 pools now. 1 pool is specifically just the military pool, and they will no longer be participating now in the knockout round later on. So the military will only play themselves in pool league, and then an Armed Forces champion will be crowned. But the top 2 teams do not go further into the knockout. The other 4 pools, which will only have 4 teams each now, will still do pool play, and then the top 2 teams of each of those 4 pools move on to the knockout round. The bottom 2 the 3rd and 4th place teams, the bottom 2 teams of each pool, will then go in the consolation tournament. So the military branches do not take place in the knockout rounds, which kind of makes sense because, again, they do have to play some extra games, so usually doesn't fare very well for them in the knockout. But again, still very, very exciting. And so again, this will be a preview of the action, get you familiar with it. Also, too, can prepare you for a little bit of possibility of winning some prizes with the RugbyTown USA Play the Pitch, which you can do on their app, which I'll explain to you at the end of the video. So again, hopefully this little preview can kind of give you a kind of an overview of what teams you should maybe be picking, what teams that you favor, and who you might favor in these pool plays. So let's start with, of course, the first pool, the Pool M from military. Like I said, 5 branches of the U.S. military. They'll be playing. They'll be setting in their rugby teams. The history of RugbyTown USA, the Armed Forces Championship has been dominated by Army. Like I said, this is the 13th year of RugbyTown USA. They've always had an Armed Allied Forces Championship. The U.S. Army has won that 10 times out of the last 12 tournaments. The only time that they've lost, 2012 when the Marines won, and then 2021 when Navy won. Army is on a 3-win streak right now. The longest streak they've had was 4 wins, but they're on a 3-win streak right now, possibly getting to that 4th win if they win this year's tournament. Air Force is one to watch out for because they were the finalists in last year's Allied Forces Championship, and they only lost by 3 points in a 10-7, so it was a really, really close match, but Army is the team to beat in the Pool M. Now, let's move on to the other pools that are not taking part of the Armed Forces Championship, and Pool A, let's start with them because in Pool A, you have Denver Select. They are the reigning and defending RugbyTown champions. They won last year in 2024. They are also the only team to have won 3 RugbyTown USA championships. That's the most of any team. So Denver Selects, they also have kind of the home pitch advantage because this is taking place in Denver, Colorado. Denver Selects is based in Denver. It is basically a barbarian-style team where they invite a lot of talent from across the country. A lot of big USA Eagles names have played for Denver Selects, including Martin Iosefo, Ben Pinkelman, who is actually a coach of one of the teams in RugbyTown USA that's not the Denver Selects, and then Kevon Williams have all been Denver Select players. The Denver Select, they are a heavy favorite to go in winning this tournament this year as well. The SoCal Griffins, a very interesting team, obviously based in Southern California, with a very, very rich and long history. They've been around since 1937, yes. A lot of people don't seem to realize rugby has a long history here in the United States, and particularly in California. 1937 when the SoCal Griffins were established, and it was actually established by the actor Boris Karloff, who, if you don't know, depending on how old you are. He was the original Frankenstein's monster in the the original Frankenstein Monsters movie. Boris Karloff was also a rugby player, and he actually started the SoCal Griffins, and they've been going on ever since. They're approaching almost 100 years since 1937. And again, a lot of big names have been SoCal Griffin members, including Mikey Teo and Joey Taufuete. Last year, they were bowl finalists, so they finished in 10th place, losing to the Assassin Sevens, who are also taking part in this tournament. And then the other two teams are relatively new teams to the competition. There is actually a Rugby 10 select team. So Rugby 10, I have a deep connection to them because I work for them for the last two tournaments here in the United States. Rugby 10 is based in San Clemente, the San Clemente Rhinos. It is a program that is designed to showcase and really give rugby players a chance to sharpen their skills in the field of Rugby 10 format. So rugby has a lot of different formats. The more popular ones, of course, are the original 15 and then 7s, but there is a 10s format as well, which, depending on who you are, some people like Rugby 10s a lot more than 7s because it favors a little bit more of the physical push and demand of what Rugby 15s has with props and scrummage, a lot more physicality in it, while 7s is a lot more where you have your wingers and your centers a lot more fast-paced. So I have some friends who used to play rugby and their props, they're not big fans of 7s because it kind of ignores what props do in the game. Rugby 10s, though, it focuses a lot more on having props and scrummaging compared to Rugby 7s. So, again, but Rugby 10s, all rugby is great. Rugby 10s definitely gives rugby players during the off seasons a chance to continue sharpening their skills, even though it may not be 15s, but still Rugby 10s. But also, too, because Rugby 10s is a faster pace. It's only 10 minutes a half compared to the 40-minute half of a regular game, and a little bit more than a Rugby 7s game, but still only 10 players a pitch. It's only a couple players more than 7s. You still have that fast-paced offense like a 7s. So that's why a lot of people do like Rugby 10s, because Rugby 10s prepares players for both worlds. For the physicality of Rugby 15s, but also the fast pace of a 7s. So Rugby 10s can also be used to give Rugby 7s players a chance to kind of sharpen their skills as well. So Rugby 10s are going to, for the first time this year, send a team of players of Rugby 10s to the Rugby 7s tournament. And if you don't know the guy, the CEO of Rugby 10s and the San Clemente Rhinos is one Todd Clever, Mr. Captain America himself, former USA Eagles captain. He will be managing this team as they go into Rugby Town. And then, unfortunately, the Lions UK team, who had a really great showing last year, had to bail out at the last second of this tournament. So their replacement is the National Collegiate the NCR, National Collegiate Rugby Griffins. And so NCR is one of the branches that runs college rugby. They have a huge rugby tournament as well as a huge 7s tournament. And so they were graciously enough to slide in as a replacement as the NCR Griffins. It's a team that's composed of a lot of former college graduates and college alumni players from the NCR ranks that are willing to work together to be a team in this tournament. So it's going to be fun and maybe a little confusing for our commentators, especially with the SoCal Griffins versus the NCR Griffins match, because they're both in the same pool. But that is Pool A. Pool B, another exciting pool. You have one of the most dominating club teams in the United States, the NAV Sevens, the National Athletic Village. If you don't know, NAV Sevens, based in the Carolina area, they were at one time the three-time Club Sevens champions in the United States. This recent year's Club Sevens tournament, NAV Sevens, for whatever reason, decided not to participate. But NAV Sevens is a very, very well-run, strong Sevens program. Again, some big names that can come out of there: Corey Jones, Madison Hughes, former USA Eagles Sevens captain. Last year, they were plate winners. They finished in 5th place. And again, they are a very, very strong team. They finished a couple of times in RugbyTown Sevens as finalists and they are obviously want to win the big one this year. Then you have the Casanovas. The Casanovas were created, they're a relatively new team, created in 2022, led by former USA Eagles and MLR players Ryan Matias and Nick Boyer. Again, some big Major League Rugby player names you might be familiar with have been Casanovas, Danny Christensen, Cash Malua. They are sending another team to this year's RugbyTown. Last year, they finished in 4th place, losing out to the Jesters in the 3rd place matchup. So Casanovas, you were just 1 match shy of making it to the finals. Obviously, they'll want to turn it around this year, but they'll have to contend with the NAV 7s. And then we have the Heat Rugby, or Tel Aviv Heat. If you're not familiar with them, they are the very first Israeli-based rugby program. They have a big connection to the former LA RFCLA MLR team, because Pete Sickle, the CEO of RFCLA, is also the owner of the Tel Aviv Heat. This will be their 3rd time sending in a team to RugbyTown. This will be their 2nd time sending a team into RugbyTown. Last year, they finished 3rd in their pool, so obviously they'll want to go further this year. And then we have another new team entering the RugbyTown, the North American Lions. I don't know too much about them other than it sounds to me like they're kind of like the British and Irish Lions. Don't know about them. They are a barbarian-style team composed of players from Britain, Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The North American Lions kind of sounds like it's composed of players of Canada and USA background combining for a team. So that is Pool B. Pool C. I feel Pool C maybe next is going to be the most competitive pool because you have, first and foremost, the Rambling Jesters, one of my favorite teams in RugbyTown. They are one of 4 teams who have been champions of RugbyTown twice. One of 4 teams to have won the title twice. They last won it in 2022. They are based in London. Again, some big names you probably be familiar with. Not only Major League Rugby players, but also former Eagles players have been Jesters. Nick Feeks, Aaron the Hulk Cummings, Chan Bailey, Rhodes Featherstone, who is a phenomenal New Zealander Sevens player. Last year, Rumbling Jesters finished in 3rd place, beating the before-mentioned Casanovas. They were knocked out of the championship game by the defending champions, the Denver Selects. So obviously, the Rambling Jesters want to get back into the final match and obviously want to lift the crown for a 3rd time to tie up with the Denver Sevens. Gorilla Rugby, another favorite team of mine, just because their kit watch in this RugbyTown, kit watch is going to be on fire because there are a lot of phenomenal looking kits in RugbyTown. If you are a fan of kits, you gotta watch RugbyTown. And Gorilla Rugby has some of the coolest looking kits around. Last year, they had a kit that had a gorilla, half skeleton gorilla face. Oh, so phenomenal. So Gorilla Rugby, they are a Texas-based program, and they're specifically focusing on college students, mostly in the Texas area, but they have expanded out to the southeast. So Texas Tech, Texas A&M, Lindenwood, Life University students are usually composed of Gorilla Rugby players. Last year, they finished in 13th place as Shield winners. Apache Sevens, one of the oldest UK clubs, formed in 1998, so they're about to celebrate their 30th year in existence. This is their 2nd year participating in RugbyTown. And then the return of the USA Falcons, another team that has won the RugbyTown Championship twice. They are actually the very first RugbyTown USA winners back in 2012, and then they repeated in 2014. I can't recall the last time they participated in RugbyTown, but usually the USA Falcons, there's been a little bit of a little bit of a smudge between what the Falcons are nowadays. Back in the day, the Falcons were kind of the level below the Eagles. So almost like a developmental program. If you weren't quite at the Eagle level, you would be a Falcon and you'd kind of work your way to eventually graduate to the Eagles. For a lot of Tier 1 programs, they're usually considered the either the Ireland 15s or the New Zealand 15s. That is basically the equivalent of what the USA Falcons are. They are the 2nd tier to the USA Eagles. You don't hear that too often anymore now, but apparently they are back here at RugbyTown. So like I said, a pool with the Jesters, the Gorilla Rugby, and the Falcons. Definitely going to be a very, very competitive and fun pool. And then the last pool, Pool D, of at least the non-military pool, you have the Assassin Sevens, another UK-based team. This is their second year here in the tournament. Last year, their very first year, they were pretty impressive. They were bowl winners, came in 9th place, and they defeated the SoCal Griffins to pick up the bowl. And then you have another team whose kits are on fire, Tsunami Rugby. Why their kits are on fire is because they are fronted by the company Weave Runners, which is a Toronto sports apparel company. Tsunami Rugby has some phenomenal looking kits. I'm excited to see what kind of kit they have this year. Last year, they were runners up to the Denver Sevens. They finished in 2nd. So Tsunami Rugby hoping to get back into the finals and possibly pull off the win over maybe Denver Sevens. We'll see. Obviously, they have to get past Assassin Sevens first, as well as the Wild Dogs, another UK-based team in first formed in 2017. They have players representing over 20 different countries, a lot of them based in South Africa. They are a very, very tenacious team playing a very wild and fun, exciting brand of rugby. And then we have a new team, Scimitar Storm, who I don't know too much about, but if you go to their Instagram, they are definitely going to be contenders up there for Kit Watch, because right now their kit that they're going to wear for RugbyTown USA, oh, so good looking. Look them up. Scimitar Storm on Instagram. You'll see it's a purple, which is a beautiful looking kit. And of course, they are also fronted by a clothing apparel, a sports apparel in the UK, Scimitar Customs. And so they are sending a rugby team over here. They apparently have been playing some international competitions. Last one that they played was Dubai Sevens, which is a very big international competition. They were the international runners-up in that tournament. So, again, in this contest, the top 2 teams of Pool A through D, A, B, C, D, not the military, will advance to the knockout rounds. And then in the knockout rounds, we will obviously have a winner crown. Now, if you want to, because I know there's a lot of people that watch this that love to gamble a little bit, there is a fun way you can interact with RugbyTown. There is a RugbyTown app, absolutely free, download it off. On the app, there is a play the pitch game on there. All you got to do is sign up. Very simple. You pick 5 teams, 1 team from each pool that you feel will do very well. The number of wins they get, you get a certain amount of points. Whoever has the most points goes into a drawing, and then if you're drawed and you pick, you win some big prizes. And I mean, they got some big prizes. There's a Nintendo Switch that you can win in this one. There's also a travel bundle that includes luggage, and if you travel like I've been traveling a lot, you know that travel luggage is not cheap. As well as it gives you a Southwest coupon for $100, a gift certificate for $100. They also have a Beats Studio wireless headphone kit that you can win. A bunch of different prizes. Absolutely free to sign up. Play the pitch. All you got to do, like I said, pick a team per pool that you feel will do very, very well. Get as much points as you can. Go into the drawing. They'll announce the winner, I believe, at the end of the tournament. Even if you're not there in Denver, they will email you or contact you via phone, and they'll send you your prize. So very easy, very simple to do. I've already signed up, so I hope you do too. I'll let you know if I pull off a win or anything. So, again, RugbyTown Sevens 2025, August 22nd through the 24th in Denver, Colorado. Tickets are still available if you're in the Colorado area. This is an amazing event, and it's very, very affordable. Tickets are $18. $18 with a pass. A complete weekend pass for $33. I mean, you can't beat that. They also do offer VIP seats, which are a little bit more pricier. But it's an amazing event. It's a very pro-military event as well. Speaking of which, on Friday, day 1, for military active members and I believe former members as well, if you show your military ID, you can get in for free. That's how big of a contribution they are to the military world here in the United States. Again, if you want to watch all the action, because you can't be there live, RugbyTownUSA.com. They stream every match. And you might see a familiar face there at the tournament, which is kind of also the reason why I'm doing this video and explaining certain things. I have the very fortunate honor of being able to work this tournament as a sideline reporter. So hopefully you'll see me quite a bit on the broadcast. And so with that being said, I'll be in Colorado for the weekend. I won't be able to do too much coverage of the USA Women's Cup and the very first game of the Pacific Nations Cup with the men versus Canada, because that's happening that Friday when this kicks off. So obviously I'll do wrap-up videos when I get back on Tuesday. I'm filming this, just a little behind the scenes, I'm filming this on Saturday, the weekend before this weekend of RugbyTown USA, because I'm trying to get everything done before I leave. Which is why also, too, I'll explain in my preview videos of the Women's Rugby World Cup and the Pacific Nations Cup that I can't really go too into depth because I'm going to be traveling. But yeah, it's going to be a very exciting weekend of rugby. Again, if you are a rugby fan, this weekend and the next month of is all about rugby. Because again, we kick off with RugbyTown USA. You have the Women's Rugby World Cup kicking off for the entire month, for the upcoming 4 to 5 weeks. Of course, you have the Pacific Nations Cup, which is very vital for USA men's qualification for the 2027 Rugby World Cup. It is huge, and there's international competitions going on right now. If you haven't seen the South Africa-Australia match for the Rugby Championship tournament, oh, it's a game. It's a match. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's a match. So it's a great time to be a rugby fan. And again, I'm very appreciative of you guys checking out my videos and seeing all that you can watch. Hopefully you guys become fans. And again, check out RugbyTown Sevens, RugbyTown USA Sevens, because it is an amazing, amazing event. So thank you very much for checking out my video. I appreciate the support, and I'll see you on the pitch.